All right. Well, Akanksha, welcome to the Attainment Podcast. Thanks very much for coming on. So you have been a long time technical product manager. You've been a technical product manager at Intel, Meta, Google, Lyft, and the list is almost done. And Coinbase.
That's right. Yeah,
That's a
I kind of joke around that if I was playing a tech bingo card, I would pretty much cover most of the FANG companies. So yes.
nice. So yeah, and most recently, you are working on a digital transformation of the way people network and build their online identity and also navigate their careers. And that's why I wanted to have you on because I think what you're working on is very interesting. Not only for people who are interested in AI and the latest technological innovations, but also people who are interested in what the future of the job market would be, as well interesting to people who are interested in personal branding, personal marketing, and growing their online presence. But there's also, I think, sales and GTM applications here as well. And after all, we're a podcast. We talk about innovation, AI, et cetera, but our focus is growth. So what you're working on, I thought would be very interesting to growth professionals like marketing people, GTM people, salespeople, founders, et cetera. So that's why I wanted to have you on. So AI agents, I think a lot of people might not know what an AI agent is. What's an AI agent?
Yeah. First of all, David, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be actually talking to you and to you to the larger audience as well. So to begin, yes, what is agent, right? So today, agent can be used very much interchangeably as co-pilot as well. And in simple terms, what this means is that instead of us doing some mundane work, we can actually train like a bot, if you will, right? An extension of a software to do repeatable tasks for us, right? Or if it's intelligent enough, it can actually learn from our behavior and contribute to that action too. So almost like an assistant, if you will, who is actually making, day-to-day mundane tasks easier for us while we go and sip a coffee.
Interesting. And I guess the main difference between an AI agent versus a generative AI like ChatGPT is that the AI agent can go and do stuff and autonomously, like go and do your shopping autonomously.
Exactly. So, like in the past, the way we would interact is like we would give a task and it would do exactly that task over and over in a repeatable way. But the evolution now is that it actually can actually contribute to the effort as well in terms of like, hey, you had been doing this for a very long time. Is there's a better way to do this, right? Or I found this a better way of like shopping online for you, and this dress you haven't tried before, but you should try that, right? So there's a lot of like contribution and thought process applied in it versus just doing something mindlessly in and out.
Interesting. So it sounds like it could also, I think AI so far hasn't really produced new knowledge. Like generative AI, as far as I'm aware, it hasn't produced new knowledge because it's just turning this training data over to the internet. But I think what you're suggesting with AI agents is that they could produce new knowledge.
Yes, it can create new content altogether, new knowledge. Like I know, like internet is going buzzed in terms of like it creates new kind of language or new kind of song altogether as well, which seems very much legit, like as us humans would enjoy. Music altogether as well that is being created. Heck, even pictures, paintings, digital art is being created as well. So it's a very exciting time to be in. Actually, see how AI is evolving and what it can produce for us in longer run.
Yeah, and you've been in tech for so long, and you've seen the evolution of technology. You're in the Silicon Valley area, and so when you've been there that long, I think you're good at, especially if you're a technical product manager, you probably have a lot of insight in the trend and where technology is heading. A lot of folks are trying to figure out the implication for how AI will interact with humans and how AI will complement humans. And that's I thought where you had some very interesting ideas. So, you've probably done a lot of UI, UX in your previous roles. How will AI agents change UI, UX in products going forward. Because, right now everyone still has an iPhone. I still have an iPhone, and Apple's still doing very well. But OpenAI is creating, they hired Johnny Ives, Apple's former head of design. He basically designed the iPhone. What I found mind-blowing was that Johnny Ives had his own design firm with about 20 employees.
Yeah.
Have you seen their website?
No, actually, Johnny Ives has also done Nest, which was acquired by Google as well. And for those people who have seen the product, it's beautiful too. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
definitely am a fan of his work and his companies he has created in his wake.
Wow. So their website is just one page with a list of the names of their team members. That's it.
That's
And they
it.
just got acquired for $3.5 billion.
Yeah, Google
So,
Micro.
so, so basically, OpenAI hired Johnny Ives for $3.5 billion.
Yes. That's right. And
So,
I'm not sure if you have seen this. There's a lot of trends as well, like, Zuck hiring, literally like buying part of the company, and in that sense, like buying the founders as well, or rather hiring them on like $100 million or even more. So the trend is very interesting that now people are taking more big bets on the founders themselves and their ability to create something without worrying about financing and like all the pain points that comes in running a business as well. So it's an interesting world altogether in terms of what money can do, but where the limitations are still, which money cannot support or AI cannot support in that matter.
guesses on what this new OpenAI hardware product might be, since you do specialize currently. Your work is on transforming traditional UI UX into conversational AI UI UX. So, any ideas on what that hardware product might be?
Think this is my take on it, right? So right now there's still a clunkiness in terms of like us carrying a phone. There could be like, more, and I can be woefully wrong, right? So this is just my speculation. But soon there would be the next trend of wearables that will be coming on in terms of like, having like obviously watches, but much more smarter watches where you can actually literally run actions from that. Like, you walk in, your house gets unlocked, right? You kind of walk in and like, automatically we know each other in terms of where we have met in the past or how we are networking all together. Of course, this is my thought process, but there could be also like more deeper integration as well, like us integrating more closely with the hardware, which is like implants in our brain, implants in our skin, so healthcare sector can also kind of evolve as well. So the canvas is very like, we will walk into a green field effect in terms of like what is the possibility we can't even comprehend, but it does open up that doors for us to actually think the unimaginable today. Personally, I'll be more excited about like integrated wearable devices sitting in our skin or something like that, especially in healthcare sector. Like if we can learn more about our own body composition and have diets which are very much catered to us individually, how wonderful that would be, right? So ultimately, the only place that is unconquered is our age, our health, our lifespan. So I feel something around that would be definitely the next move.
So, Apple lately has been getting a lot of criticism for the delays with their Apple Intelligence, and everyone knows they've fallen behind with AI. So if Tim Cook is listening, I think the message to him is perhaps focus on the Apple Watch. Make sure that the Apple Watch gets those AI capabilities, especially agentic AI capabilities, and beat everyone else to it because no one else has done that. They already have the hardware. They just got to add an agentic AI layer to it.
Yeah. There's also this part actually. It's funny you're talking about Apple and Tim Cook as well. So I think as when iPhone came into existence, right, it was literally changing the way we interact with technology, right? I mean, have watching movies on phones, literally having, phone video chats on phone as well. These were all unheard of. Heck, even the whole idea of App Store. kind of like a very novel technology, right? But when they were using the smartphone, we were still using it for making calls. And now slowly this ecosystem that built around it, which enables us to actually do much more with that. So I feel, to just echo your analogy of the watch as well, like this is just a stream, a thread of familiarity which we can hold on to in order to venture into the unknown as well, right? So these watches can actually take us into that unknown of, like, much more deeper health technology, or much deeper AI assistant technology as well. I don't feel holograms will be the thing that people will be going for, right? In all the sci-fi movies, you kind of see like hologram projections coming in. But I do feel that more in the healthcare sector, things should be getting disrupted. So yeah, I completely agree. Tim Cook, or maybe a new founder, should actually build on that and like maybe disrupt this industry altogether.
So, sorry. So, I've actually heard rumors that what OpenAI is working on in terms of their hardware product is apparently a necklace with like a pendant, and apparently has like a tiny camera that's not really visible, so that it's record. So basically, I think the speculation is that it's a device that will basically it's basically a companion, an intelligence that's walking the world with you and seeing the world with you and hearing the world with you and recording all that data to get to know you and your world better.
Yeah.
Do you think that's feasible?
So actually, there's already a technology out there. I saw an ad. I was actually almost thinking of buying it just to test it out. It's actually as thin as like your credit card, and you can actually either put it next to your phone, like attach it as a credit card does, or even like wear in your pocket. And what it does is literally like a spy device. It listens to the entire conversation. And the way they are selling it to their audience is that, hey, you have several amazing conversations with people. You may or may not remember whom you talked to and what you had a conversation on. And it's like, writing with a pen and paper is a thing of a past. So this particular device kind of listens to all the conversation. You can take it back, you can analyze it, you can run it across all your other body of work, and God knows it can create that paper trail of your conversation, A. And B, you can actually decipher a whole lot out of that, right? In terms of like getting that aha moment of like epiphany or something like that. So getting a necklace versus a glasses versus like a ring or a watch, right? All seems very much possible. I do not know why they would want to do it as a necklace though. I haven't seen a lot of data or research around it in terms of like how people feel comfortable. Maybe just the form factor altogether, that it might be big enough that you cannot lug it on your face, which looks awkward, or it cannot be small enough that it could be worn as a ring or as a wristwatch, but it can be heavy enough and you can hide it if it especially looks clunky. So that could be one of the reasons in terms of why they would have it as a necklace. In terms of applications, I can definitely see that picking up in terms of like, hey, it records, and like David and Akanksha met in a club. It was very noisy, but they kind of had an amazing conversation. And Akanksha is trying to figure out how to connect with David, right? And because my camera saw David's like automatically giving me all the information with David's approval, of course. So like, yeah, check me out, and then there you go. I have all the information to connect back with David. So that can be like, again, networking to the next level. Analogy that I can think of. Of course, what privacy will look like is definitely a new conversation around policies, government policies around that, of course. So definitely debatable in terms of how quickly it can grow. But I'm an optimistic person, so I feel if today's generation is okay putting their own pictures up on Instagram and Facebook, and actually are willing to share more widely what they are doing, then they wouldn't mind getting captured on a little camera to have a better network altogether.
Well, already, I mean, when you hop into a Zoom call or a Google Meet, there's like, and you got a big meeting, there's like 10 AIs taking notes,
Yes,
and everyone's okay with it.
precisely. And this is again like, in fact, I'm not sure if you have been in those meetings as well. Sometimes AI note takers are more than the people in the room
Yeah,
too.
I've seen that, yeah.
So, in fact, my co-founder was almost in terms of like, hey, let's just send a couple of additional AI note takers and see how well they did with respect to each other. So, yeah, again, people are like the norm of what people will feel comfortable with is changing so dramatically. Heck, just 2 years ago, if I had shared my calendar link for people to just book, it was considered as rude, or it's like, oh my God, how rude, right? But now people actually willingly just ask, hey, do you have a calendar link? I can just put some time, right? Rather than having 10 email exchanges of availabilities and time zones and things like that. I'll just look at your calendar and like book it very quickly. Again, like, rules of engagement are changing with lightning speed. So if ChatGPT or OpenAI does bring in with a necklace, I don't think that would be considered as a very weird technology already, especially because Meta has already have their Ray-Ban smart glasses, right? So it's normalizing of what it can look like. Obviously, back in the day, Snap also had a smart glasses, if you guys remember. So I think more and more people will be okay with that, like having that on their.
Perhaps the paradigm could be kind of what it is in AI with these AI note takers in Zoom meetings, where you assume that there is an AI note taker, but if you don't want it recording you, then you tell the host, "Hey, is this being recorded? Let's make
Yes.
sure we don't record this."
Yeah, yeah. And also, like, I have been in a couple of meetings where I just assumed, as you said, that it will be there, and it wasn't. And I was like, oh my God, now I have to rely on my memory to actually remember what all conversations we had. So again, the tables have shifted, right? It is not only like okay for it to be recorded, it's actually to the point of unpleasant when it's not there anymore, right? I remember like in our work life, there used to be someone who would be designated note taker, and all they are doing is just typing and like creating those memo kind of documentation in terms of who spoke what. And thank goodness we don't need that anymore, and something can be done much more better than us humans can. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Once you start using these and once they become part of your workflow, kind of can't live without them. Like I couldn't imagine living without an AI note taker to help me remember stuff from my meetings.
Exactly. And this is the best part, David, right? Now, studies have shown that in general, first of all, native AI platforms are beating, AI enhanced platforms, right? So like the AI enhanced can be considered as like, an existing business with a chatbot just slapped on top of it, right? So very different experience than native AI companies. Second, it does take very small amount of time to actually build, native AI companies these days. Like I think the last study have seen it's like 6 months to 12 months. And then, but from the user perspective, once when they see it, they cannot unsee it. They cannot go back to the old school platform of like, using and interacting with that. What was relevant a year ago is now considered as old school today. So I think you hit on that key point here, that like the way we see technology helping us in our day-to-day work is changing dramatically, but it's also like one way street. Once when people see it, they cannot like not unsee it anymore. So if we do end up capturing markets with new normal products, I do feel attrition or like retention would be high on such products if done correctly in the consumer side. Again, my take on it, but that gets me excited, by the way. So you kind of touched on a topic which I'm super excited on always in terms of building.
Yeah, sometimes you try out a new technology and you just can't go back. Like another example for me was when I visited the Bay Area. We didn't get a chance to meet in person, but when I visited, I tried a Tesla for the first time because that's the Bay Area culture. And I was amazed. I was amazed, and I thought to myself, I can't go back to a normal car.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Did you see a recent Waymo video as well? The CEO actually had posted this, where this dog, it was in the middle of the night, this dog just ran in front of the car, and like us humans, like they shared the video. I wouldn't have been able to tell if the dog crossed. So if it was me driving, I would have totally been in that disaster. And to make things worse, the dog ran and then and a child ran after it. And then close behind on pursuit was another dog and another child. And this was all captured like in video. It's like really scary, if definitely jarring, but also really good in the sense that here this AI technology captured it, stopped in the moment, stopped till like things were safe. And here's the best part, like the second dog and the child was standing on the side. So way more quiet, politely just like it recognized that it's holding the traffic, so it quite politely just took a small side turn and then went on its merry way. I could see that like more and more such safe cars in the cities driving high volume. It's better, it's doing a better job than us drivers can. So I can see you us getting excited about that factor as well.
A friend of mine who's a longtime Tesla driver, he told me that this one time the autopilot on his Tesla, it stopped for no reason. But then when he checked the camera footage, it turns out that a fox ran across the road, like really quick.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
So he didn't see it, but the AI camera saw it.
See, there you go. There you go. I own a Tesla and I still am very bullish on it, but I do feel like the additional lidars, etc., can actually take the game to the next level. I do not know. What's your take on it? I know there's like very bullish talks on having this Tesla taxis in Austin where you can own a Tesla and then it will drive you to your office, and when you're not using it, it will drive for you as a taxi, and then you get paid for owning the Tesla and how much ever taxing it has done. I personally feel that part of the world is still a little bit away in making it reality. I mean, I do wonder like what this will mean for future generation. Like, does that mean we don't have to learn how to drive anymore? Or people who are just very passionate about cars are the only one who know how to drive. Rest, the general mass would be okay not owning a car and not knowing how to drive. Possibilities are like again very, very crazy as well, in terms of what it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. The future is definitely exciting. And with these Teslas, they actually have cameras all around them recording, like, as I think whenever they're on, they're recording
Correct, exactly.
all the cameras.
Yes, exactly. In fact, fun fact, my first startup was actually back in 2012. And that was the whole idea in terms of like my co-founder met with like minor accident, but it was a pylon. And we didn't have this smart dash cam. Because he was the last driver, he was like he was at the fault, right? But had he had a technology like Tesla's where it's continuously recording, and if there was an incident, it kind of captures 10 seconds or 20 seconds prior to the incident and 30 seconds after the incident. Like drivers who are not at fault could have used that to context it and say, hey, by the way, I was maintaining my 3-car rule, and then this car just cut in and then did the brake, so I did not get enough time to react or something like that. So yes, you're right. It does record, and hopefully we can use that for like, as a method to actually, hopefully not to use it, but if a mishap happens, we can actually use that to context as well. It also kind of has, not sure if you have seen this, there's an internal camera as well facing the driver. So, it keeps an eye on your eye movement. So if like you're checking your phone and your eyes are like on, it kind of alerts you. It's like, hey, you have to pay attention, eyes on the road. And in a way, I think if you're taking Tesla's insurance, it kind of like sets as if you're a safe driver or not. And if you're a good driver, it kind of rewards you to actually lower your insurance as well. So again, like might of data. And like when we started our company, people were like, I don't like this big brother watching kind of analogy. And like 5, 10 years after, people are like, yeah, it's gonna reduce my insurance. Please look at me. As much as possible, I'm willingly giving you data to actually lower my insurance cost. So yes, I think it does record a whole lot than maybe you and I can decipher as well.
Yeah, and that's what I find so interesting is with the Teslas, people have totally forgotten that it's recording them and recording their surroundings, right? It's like, so that's a good example of where people kind of just forget that it's there. It just ends up blending in. But these wearable devices. Like, for example, if in the future OpenAI releases this hardware product with a necklace pendant, people will still need screens, right? To see stuff.
What's your take on it? I feel we will soon go into this space where we don't need to have a screen all the time. Like we can be connected even when we haven't so the reason I say this is because even our product is exactly that. Our goal is that we are always connected on a screen 24 hours 7. And one thing when which AI can do is actually still make us connected while not being connected, right? So by that what it means is that if I'm walking my dog and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I'll be in New York and I want to meet with amazing founders with whom I resonate. Next thing I know, my calendar is filled with meaningful connections, right? And my agent knows that I'm an immigrant founder. So maybe, and I resonate a lot with people who play basketball. That's like my first conversation starter, for instance. So my agent kind of finds that relevant connections. And next thing I know, my calendar is filled with those meaningful meetings with those founders, right? This particular case, I was still able to get my job done in terms of having meaningful interactions while I wasn't online or wasn't in front of a screen altogether. So I feel that there would be a point where, amongst all our senses, we don't have to be using a screen all the time to actually still get that benefit out of it. Like another example I can feel, which OpenAI probably can use or is already thinking about, is like looking at. I think I mentioned this to you, right? In terms of you and I met, if you and I had met, in terms of like, oh, you guys were in the same, meetup once, although you did not meet, but you were at the same time at the same place 2 years ago, right? So this serendipitous networking, if you will, to the next level. Of course, I also feel healthcare, again, I cannot stress this enough, can be another sector that they can go into. But yeah, to answer your question quite simply, I do not know if people will miss screen that much if done things effectively. There are other ways to actually still interact, like with smartphone, glasses and so forth, which is still a screen, but not like the way you and I think of from a phone perspective.
Interesting. Yeah, because that was one of my hesitations was, well, you're still gonna need a screen. But you know what? When I like that you said it gets the job done. So, in marketing we have a concept, jobs to be done.
Yeah.
And whenever you buy a service or product, you're not buying it because you're buying it to get a job done, right? And so if your AI agent or the AI on your watch or in your ear can do everything you need it to, can get the jobs to be done, then I guess without a screen, then I guess you don't need to be looking at a screen. So
Right.
that actually makes sense. That does make sense. Except if you want to view photos and videos,
That's when.
that's when you might need it. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It also goes back to your original question, which I don't think I kind of quite satisfactorily answered earlier. It's like how the UI interaction will look like, right? So I feel that's where it's going to change. That, right now, so going back to my same example, when I am meeting with fellow founders, which my agent has arranged for me. So in terms of looking them up, I might go online in front of a screen and see, what I need to know about them. So in that moment, I will be online on the screen. But in terms of where my agent is doing the research on them or is finding about them, it can just relay that information in my ear. And it's like, in my headphones or whatever, it's like, hey, you're gonna meet with, David. By the way, like killer. When I notice your name, like it's too powerful. Your last name and your first name is like too powerful in both senses. So I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Maybe I should ask him about that, right? So my agent could have shared that with me in terms of like, hey, you're going to meet with David. He enjoyed, right? Coming to Bay Area, and in the past we had talked about micro gifting as well. So my agent would have reminded me about that too, right? So all those things, it's just talking to me versus me being in front of a screen. And that's also like goes to this question in terms of what kind of industries will become obsolete or like almost like a fax machine in the time of smartphones and internet. I think eventually, like social media would be different than what you and I know of, right? Because right now the videos are optimized for us humans, but soon the search will be optimized for AI agent search as well as for humans agent search as well. So I feel the social media world, as you and I see today, will be also getting disrupted a bit. So yeah.
Interesting, interesting. Well, Instagram has been around for a very long time and is kind of getting boring looking at the same format over and over again. So that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But Akanksha, even if the AI isn't recording everything about you, if it can just get some context about you, you could build a digital twin off of it. But actually, before I go on, for those that don't know, I first heard of digital twins 2021, 2022. So I know what it means, but can you explain? I'm curious to hear the way you think of it. What are digital twins?
Yeah. There are many schools of thought in terms of what a digital twin can look like, right? One example is for some of you guys who might have seen Reid Hoffman's interview with his younger self, right? One can say that he's actually is interviewing himself, his digital twin, but it's like looks like him, talks like him, and maybe is responding similar to what he would have done like 10 years, 20 years ago. That's a concept of digital twin. Some people find that weird and funky and almost to the point of creepy, so that's where that uncanny valley aspect comes in. Another spectrum of digital twin can be that your agent is like joined to the hip to you, right? It's literally consuming information day in day out when you're going into a meeting, when you're talking to it, when you're thinking out loud in terms of like really materializing your thought process, learns about you. And obviously in professional sense, if you have learned a new skill, it kind of retains that memory as well, that hey, Akanksha learned that new skill. And when now like someone is querying that agent about Akanksha, that agent is able to represent Akanksha in a holistic way, in terms of like, hey, she's a dog mom, she lives in San Francisco, she has this AI first company, right? She's passionate about sports and health in so there's a whole lot about Akanksha that the agent can represent. Now, so those are like two extreme spectrums in terms of like someone who really talks and behaves and voices exactly the way Akanksha would. And on the other side, it's like this wing person of Akanksha who understands her holistically and can represent her in a much more complete way, right? In her absence. So those are the two ways of like representing someone and like defining, or rather two extremes. There's obviously few things in between as well.
Interesting, interesting. And so if you have one of these digital twins, I guess there's tons of utility to it, tons of stuff that it can do. Again, tons of jobs to be done that it can execute. So it's an assistant. But if you have a digital twin online that other people or other digital twins can interact with, that's also a powerful branding asset.
Yes. So now we are talking about those amazing applications, right? Which we can unearth with this aspect. So imagine like right now, what is the most annoying part for most of us, right? When we get this unsolicited CLC call on our inbox, on our phone, right? And it's annoying. But if I am in the market for that product and all of a sudden I get a call or all of a sudden I get an email with that information, it's no longer annoying. It's actually serving me a purpose, a value. It's saving me time. It's giving me information the very minute I thought of it, right? So, in terms of those applications or jobs to be done, if my agent knows that Akanksha is in the market for, benefits, for instance, and now when someone reaches out to me and says, hey, by the way, we have this payroll system and you can add all your employees for benefits as well, and by the way, this is how much we charge or what is the value to you, then I'm much more open in having that conversation. And so here my agent is actually alerting all the fellow agents, right, on that intent that hey, Akanksha is open to be pitched on benefits packages, right? And my agent can field the first conversations initially and share it with me. And it's like, hey, by the way, Joe and Jane from company XYZ and ABC wants to get in touch, and this is their package. Shall I put some time on our calendars? And voila, right? Again, I have intelligent meetings on my calendar without getting bombarded with cold outreach. And I really feel for it because I'm on the other side as well, right? I do not know what the person in front of me has the intent. So all I have to do is in order to maximize my chances of getting a meeting, I do have to do spray and pray method. But eventually, when your agent is in this lockstep with you, it doesn't have to be a spray and pray method of outreach any longer. So that's an example of how your agent can actually be that representative of you and also filters out the noise and only lets the actual information come to you, which is worthy of your attention.
I guess it reduces noise as well because it works both ways and it benefits both sides. So it benefits the recipient in that they're only hearing relevant things, and it also benefits the sender in that they're only sending relevant signals to the relevant people.
Exactly, right? Because again, this whole idea of like free platforms, right? Go on this platform and it's all free. When things are free, you are the product. Your data, your information is being sold to. And to your point, someone somewhere is actually buying that information to do a cold outreach to me and like reach out to me. So someone is paying there. It's obviously not coming to the right audience, so it's not serving either one of us, right? But someone else, a third party, is making money out of it. And it's purely because of our desperation and lack of the right platforms, right? So the question I always ask is that if it's free, what's the catch? Am I the data that they're going to use, or am I the product that they're going to be using? So I 100% resonate with you. But flipping the script here, right? Again, if I am available, and now, when as a platform, it is being sold to the right audience and then the right connection happens, they wouldn't mind paying this, right? Because again, no one is feeling grumpy in this transaction, right? Or in this scenario. So I feel that would be the best part. In fact, that's what we at Neopolis is trying to solve, right? I think I mentioned this to you before our call started, is like how, like, today's generation wouldn't know what dial-up internet is, that sound of modem. Similar to that, when Gen Alpha comes into the workforce, they wouldn't, hopefully, if we do things right today, they wouldn't know about this concept of spray and pray method or cold outreach, because every connection they're gonna have, it would be intentful and meaningful, right? Almost like not led to chance, right? Because our time is valuable. That's one thing money cannot buy. But hopefully, with AI, we can have a better way of actually using it and spending it. So, yes.
So that sounds very promising because a lot of folks on LinkedIn send out cold automated outreach, and it's really annoying because it's often not relevant. And a lot of people on LinkedIn are complaining about that very often.
Exactly.
And and that would be great to have a digital twin of myself on LinkedIn that knows what I need and what I'm looking for, filter those out, and then eventually for those senders to have their own agent so they can find uh, find relevant people instead of spray and pray.
Precisely. And look at it this way as well, David, right? That in our professional growth, right, we always think it in a very straight format of just landing a job. But since your agent, your digital twin is like your companion, your career long companion, right? And it understands your needs more effectively. It can open up doors for you when you're looking for a job. It can open up your doors for when you're looking for being mentored or find a mentor or become a mentor. It can make introductions, which are like peer-to-peer introductions, like you and I met, for instance, right? Or when like I'm looking for a career change and there are 100 different ways to actually grow my career. And all I have these TikTok kind videos where people are giving advice, which may or may not apply. My agent can actually get me that next step, right? For learning or for growing or for whatever it may be, right? And again, to your point, like right now, my data, the number of cold outreach emails from recruiters I get is insane. And unfortunately, those cold outreach emails are for the jobs or the roles I probably held 10 years ago. So somewhere, someone is selling my old resume as a data. And that's what is reaching out to me. My fellow recruiters are reaching out to me using that information, right? So like that's the world we need to imagine, is that your agent shouldn't be just doing one, single work for you, right? It can actually do multiple avenues and tasks all at one go. You just have to tell what you're looking for, and it can switch hats from being a good networker to a mentor to a coach. So now that's the world I'll be excited about as well to be in.
And it'll also end resume fatigue. I recently had someone from my business school reach out. He's going to graduate soon, and he asked me for tips on how to find a job after he finishes. I actually told him, don't apply for jobs.
Exactly. But I'm curious why. What's your take on it? Why did you tell him that?
Well, because what's happening with AI is everyone is using AI to generate their resumes and send out resumes on a massive, like spray and pray times 100. And
Yeah.
so then the recruiters are getting overwhelmed with these resumes. They don't have, even before AI, they had no time to go through them all. Now they couldn't possibly go through them all. So don't so so it's basically a waste of time is the way I saw it. What I recommended to him instead is to do some networking.
Yes, no, exactly. Now this is a sound advice actually, because like let's peel the onion right here. From the job seeker perspective, they definitely are, like things, the way we work is changing. In fact, World Economic Forum has published like this year's data, where they have predicted that in the next 5 years, by 2030, around, like 40% to 50% of like people, especially in white collar workforce, will see their job or the way they work will be changing in one way or another, right? And it's not like 10 years, 20 years, it's next 5 years. So that means today the way we work will be changing quite dramatically in the next 5 years. So there's a lot of confusion and FUD out there in terms of like what is sellable, right? How can I land into that next job? Now, second to that, every role is attracting thousands of resume, and those resumes are AI optimized resumes, right? Because obviously, on the other side, the way these resumes are being filtered is by this old school application tracking system, which is a keyword tracking system. Like people's resume gets rejected based upon whether they have that specific keyword or not. So instead of program management, if you have written PM, by default you'll be rejected because that key matching did not happen. So now smart people are optimizing their resume using AI to make sure that the right words are sprinkled through across their resume. So the ATS system is barfing because every resume looks amazing, right? And humans, like all humans, we have our limitation on time and span of attention. And since every thousand resume looks amazing, it's humanly impossible for us to go through each and every resume, even if we are spending 5 seconds, 10 seconds, to really gauge what that person is, right? Sitting behind that resume. So, as you mentioned, like, either way, recruiters or humans looking at it manually, a static piece of resume, cannot go through all those thousand resumes to see whom they should talk to. Right. Let alone talk to all the thousand people. That's an impossible task now. So on one side, job seekers are hurting because they always feel that their applications are going in a black, in a dark hole. And on other side, hiring managers are feeling overwhelmed as well because they were supposed to close to this role like yesterday, and they are being inundated with these resumes which all look amazing, and the only way they can filter them out is actually talking to them. But again, in this day and age, we can talk the right words, we can train ourselves to use the right words as well. So finding the right candidates is actually becoming even more difficult than easy today. So I completely agree. The world of how we should find people needs to get disrupted, needs to get changed as well. And here's the funny part. The resume concept is around for 100 years. So initially, this ad would come in newspaper and people would mail their resumes. And with LinkedIn, their resumes is their profile page now, but we are still mailing our resumes. So if we feel that anywhere technology disruption needs to happen, it needs to happen right now. especially disrupting that 100-year-old way of finding the right candidates.
Uh, Several years ago, when I was applying for jobs, I thought to myself, "Why am I sending in a resume? All my information is on my LinkedIn, you know." But it's just a custom. But it seems like it's time for that custom to well, that custom is being disrupted, like you explained, with AI gen resumes. The other the other thing is the contextual and historical networking. You mentioned that in one of your emails. What does that actually mean? What's the difference between contextual networking and historical networking?
Yes. Now you're definitely getting me more and more excited. Now, speaking about the resume, right, and how we need to disrupt it, and we also spoke about this idea of digital twin that represents you holistically, right? So on Neopolis, we are really looking at this part where can we actually, remove the necessity of people taking that initial pre-screening call to be qualified for a role, right? Because your agent knows you more deeply when you're learning a new skill, it knows about it, right? When you're looking for a role change or a title change, your agent knows and markets you in front of the right hiring managers and vice versa. So here the contextual search part, which is the key, is that today and we are speaking with so many hiring managers. So one of the hiring managers like, I really want that builder mindset. How can you write builder mindset in a resume? How can you assess that someone has that builder mindset in their day to day work? Now, this is where the hiring man agent can actually talk to every applicant that have shown interest for a role. And the agent goes in detail in terms of like what work they have done, how are they solving a problem, what kind of decisions they made. And in that context, when the user or the job seeker kind of shares, what, I was building this product. I wasn't sure what will stick, what will not stick. I created a prototype, put it out in front of my users, learned from that, and I realized, oh, actually, this is not the right solution. And then I iterated, built a better way of, solving that problem. And again, I put this in front of the user. Now, that inherently is a builder mindset, right? You let the experience dictate your next move versus have a theoretical understanding of something and just keep on building on top of it. So that is a builder mindset. So once when we actually matched that person with the hiring manager, that's where the magic happened, the synergy happened, right? So that's like an example of contextual search where, you can talk about like something very vague, but when you actually peel the onion in terms of going deeper and deeper, what you really mean as a builder mindset is that go-getter attitude of rapid prototyping and building something which is dictated based upon actual empirical data versus like a theoretical data. Right. So another example is obviously like, this is more resume based search. But for instance, if someone is looking for, let's say, smart sheets, which is kind of a project management tool, and someone has written Asana on their resume, in old school world, they would completely get rejected, right? Because, oh, I'm looking for smart sheets and this person has written Asana. So clearly they don't know smart sheets. But here the agent is like, you know what? Asana is also a project management tool and smart sheets is also a project management tool. And this person is managing projects. So they are a project manager who has worked on many tools. So actually they are better candidate versus, what a dumb platform, which is just doing a keyword searching can actually infer, right? So those are like some of the examples in terms of like how, again, the keyword search will be a thing of a past, right? Searching through that and getting four blue links and clicking through all of them, finding information would be again a thing of a past. Here, the agent can actually make that deeper connections on a contextual level, not just on a key search level, if you will. So yeah, that's like one of the aspects which we are building internally, and I'm very proud to say, actually, every candidate that we have referred or recommended, has 100% rate of getting hired. Uh,
Wow.
so yeah, so at least so one on one, like right now we have maintained that streak of ours in terms of like recommending good candidates and saving that time for our hiring managers, but at the same time helping and saving times of the candidates where letting them know that spray and method, spray method would not work. And let's actually get you in front of a hiring manager where you have more higher chances of getting hired in the first place.
That's amazing. I was just about to say it would be an amazing future where, because in my opinion, there's a job for everyone and there's the right candidate for every job. Wouldn't it be amazing if everyone could just be instantly matched up? And so you're already doing that.
Exactly. And I would
Wow.
also add a third category to that, right? There's every candidate to the right job also. There's also a right candidate to the right manager and a right manager to a right candidate. Because again, it's a question of people, right? We feel it's only manager and the candidate matching, but in reality, it's also the candidate and the team matching as well, whom they're going to work with, who is the cross-functional piece. So, on and all, I completely 100% resonate with you that, it's like every job for every person and like, a right job for a right person and, a right manager for the right candidate as well. So, yeah.
Sounds like the resume will be like dial up, a relic of the past
Yes, it would be the
soon.
fact machine in this era or a dial-up relic. Yes.
It's good. It's perfect timing because it's a big problem for both. Resumes are no longer getting the job done.
Exactly. Exactly. Not only that, David, also we are becoming more and more unique in our skill sets, actually. Like, how many of us have done something in college, learned something in college, and that's what we have applied for the next 30, 40 years? It's really becoming more and more, like a thing of a past again, right? And in reality, the cross-functional like skills which we have makes us good. So if someone has worked like heck even as a as an assistant like in a restaurant and also in tech and also in sales would be a much better person to actually work in maybe in a customer service scenario, right? Because they bring this cross functional skills to the table, and that's what I'm seeing more and more as well. Again, a static piece of resume cannot do justice on, representing the human, the whole human behind that resume. So, yeah, I like that factor of imagining that resume would be the dial up of the past as well. So, yes.
Interesting. I think a good example of what you just described actually would be Apple's founder, Steve Jobs. He studied in college calligraphy
Yeah.
and then he was interested in tech, worked a couple tech jobs, and then look at him. He turned out to he turned out to be the guy to humanize computers, the personal computer for millions of people in a form and function and a design that worked for people. And now they're the world's largest company by value.
Exactly. We will see more and more misfits like that, honestly, because the old school scenario is like to fit a square peg in a, like in a square hole. But in reality, that's again like not applicable anymore. It's our cross-functional misfit um, aspect is what makes us unique at our jobs now. So yes.
And I think that uniqueness, there's going to be an increasing need to uncover the uniqueness. I've delved into this topic of AI and the way we'll transform jobs, skills. I've been focused on the topic for actually the past 4 years because I worked at a company back in 2021 that predicted the impact of AI on the workforce at the jobs level, at the skills level, and advise companies what skills to develop into the future, but also advise companies what skills could be transferred from one domain to another domain so that they don't have to lay people off. But it seems like this is the next evolution of that.
Exactly, exactly. And I remember that actually one of the things that I completely resonated with you was actually your thought process around this is because our skills in one industry would be easily transferable in another industry. We always feel and fear that because of AI, our jobs are going to be obsolete or AI will take our jobs. But in reality, what it will enable us to do is actually be more cross-functional than we are today, right, and do more with respect to that as well. In fact, at Coinbase, we actually were not hiring for a while. And rather than, and this I loved about the company to actually take that bet, is that rather than letting go of our recruiting staff, we actually temporarily hired them and trained them on the adjacent skills, which is project management. Because even in project management, like some of the skills like people personality, right, connection with people, and also coordination and management is a huge skill in coordinating in project management as well. Other than having them just seeing this just with one lens that, oh, there's no jobs, so no recruiters, we actually were finding ways to actually still retain them, but actually apply their skills in this really tough space because we were really clamoring to get that help. So rather than again hiring project coordinators for that role, can we actually do this internal shift? And more kudos to Coinbase team to actually even think about that in the first place. So a part of my role was actually to support some of our recruiters with amazing skill sets. And in fact, I'm very proud to say one of them actually took a leap further and actually became a product manager in HR systems. So that's the power of like, and this is like at the cusp where AI was just coming in. So we were not even applying AI for all this decision making. But even then, right, recognizing that our skills in one domain can be easily transferable and scalable in another domain is very much possible. And with AI, it will become more and more faster and effective. So definitely get excited with that application as well for us.
That's amazing. And uniqueness, I actually did an event last week on how B2B marketing leaders can future-proof themselves, layoff-proof, AI-proof, etc. And one of the key takeaways was double down on what makes you unique. Everyone's unique by definition, right? There's no one else uh, like you out there. Uh, and that uniqueness often is something that AI cannot replace. It's interesting how AI causes us some concerns, but then fixes them too. Like, for example, AI will replace me, but wait a sec, AI can create a digital twin of me, identify what makes me unique and who I will get along with and what kinds of jobs I can do, and then instantly match me up with those jobs.
Exactly. And yes, I think the term which comes to my mind as well is, please keep me honest, but I think it's called be yourself, everyone else is taken, right? So I think, yeah, that's pretty much what a digital twin can actually be for you, that career long companion that evolves and grows with you and switches hats, in terms of like, and going back to your point, right? We will cherish more of our uniqueness, right? Than our similarity, if you will. Definitely, we connect on similar factors, but we also celebrate that unique aspect as well, what we bring to our table. And the more we are able to celebrate that and expand on that using our digital twin, the better we will be in terms of like securing ourselves to the changes that are coming near future. So I 100% subscribe to that as well in terms of like what it can look like and what it can become eventually. So yeah, that would be a wonderful time to be in as well. So yeah, excited for that.
Yeah, definitely. And imagine a world where your digital twin is broadcasting to the world, to other agents, who you are, and getting you discovered. I mean, we kind of do that. LinkedIn kind of has that feature right now where you have a looking for job or hiring a label on your profile. But what you're describing is like the natural evolution of that is, well, just broadcast. Don't just broadcast that you're hiring or that you're looking for a job. Broadcast everything about you.
Exactly, exactly. Is that unique brand, right? Because I know we always think about you come from marketing, so you definitely will have more ideas around this. But I had this limited purview of branding is more for the company. The product needs to resonate with the mass audience. That's where branding comes in. But what I've realized is actually eventually, like especially now when there's a lot of confusion and FUD out there, what I've realized is that we need our own brand as well. And your agent can actually make that happen for you. So, for instance, like last week when I was in New York, I met with amazing, amazing people. And I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to share a lot of my learning. But again, the only thing that is limited for us is our time. So, in midst of all that travel, I actually leveraged my agent. It's like I just spoke to it. It's like, hey, by the way, I met with so and so person. I loved what they did, and this. We had this conversation, and my agent obviously has this information on body of work of my prior writings, my thought processes, my some of my old publications as well. So it drew thread from like, hey, by the way, Akanksha, you spoke about this. It reminded me of this prior 3 years old article you had written, and you kind of celebrated this aspect of mental health, by the way. And it sounds to me that this is what you had been doing as a theme as well, that you focus despite of your travel, you make sure that this is happening for you. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I would have written, right? Or I would have thought about. So my agent already is creating this resonating information, which is again unique to me, right? And creating this like value which I can share more wide and broad for other humans to consume, right? So yes, I think we obviously spoke about like how your digital twin can actually help you and making that meaningful connections, but in reality it can also help you elevate your brand. Because like even in my past life, before I started Neopolis, a lot of amazing female leaders, like I would look at their profile and I'm like, oh my god, I mean, where do they get time to do so much? And even they struggled with putting their voice out there, right? Because I think there's this inherent limitation we have of shining the light on ourselves. But when you hear from your agent about you and what it learned about you, and it's aha moments like, oh my god, yes, that is true. That is what my true wing person will talk about me and write about me. So I think this is again that echoing to your original point, that not only we know that we are unique, but it's also important for us to showcase that through our brand, or through our own values. Because I mean, that's how we become visible right in front of everyone else. So I completely like that idea.
I think even with ChatGPT, because it has memory, you could probably do that today. Go to ChatGPT, say, "Hey, what makes me unique based on what you know about me?"
Yeah.
I actually recently asked ChatGPT, "What is my archetype, my professional archetype?"
Yeah. What did it say? I'm curious.
It
Are you
said,
open and sharing? Like,
it said visionary operator.
nice. And do you resonate with that? Do you see yourself as, is that accurate?
Well, I mean, in terms of visionary, I like thinking about the future, and that's why I'm talking to you.
Of course.
And then I am a, not to brag, but I'm a pretty effective operator as well.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So it got you spot on actually, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so.
See, there you go. And again, like two very different archetypes, right? And all the books we might have seen, we obviously feel that, oh, people who are visionary cannot like make that to reality or operate on it, right? But that's not true, right? You are a walking example of that, right? Who has eyes on what future can look like, but also is grounded enough in current technology to bridge that gap, right? To take us to that level. And that's unique, isn't it? Versus like what we have seen in the past as well. So I like that approach of what AI can understand us better and also reflect that true mirror to us in many ways too. Yeah.
That's amazing. And yeah, and ChatGPT doesn't know everything about me, but it knew enough. So imagine if you had a digital twin that knew a lot more about you.
Yes.
So it sounds like AI digital twin agents will basically solve the problem of job hunting and recruiting
Yes.
entirely.
Yes. I would
Well,
like yes, I would definitely like to be part of that. And as you can see, I am.
and another challenge is like that guy who reached out to me and asked how to find a job. I told him stop applying, go do some networking. Go do some networking. That's kind of pretty generic, broad advice. I didn't have time to tell him exactly what to do, but networking is also a challenge for a lot of people. Where to start, where to go, where do you find people? And then it takes a lot of time as well. It
Yeah,
takes months, years to build your network. So that's
exactly.
another problem that I think digital twins uh, could ultimately help with. Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So, like to your point, right? I actually like to say that let not meaningful connections be left to chance, right? And let's understand what the situation today is, right? So, even I live in Bay Area, SF, region, and we have amazing meetups day in day out, right? All you have to do is just open Luma or talk in your network, and you'll find at least five meaningful meetings that or meetups you can go to. But even there, the audience is oversubscribed. because many of the people wouldn't know. You wouldn't know who's coming, by the way. So you are pretty much like standing with a name tag, trying to do a speed dating kind of analogy and trying to meet people. But at the same time, you don't want to make it sound very transactional. And also, sometimes you become jaded because this might be your sixth meeting, meetup, 10th meetup, right? And you haven't found that meaningful connections altogether. So, this is where I like to say that let not meaningful connections be less to chance, right? That serendipitous moment can happen like when you want it, not like, out of the blue. That is where, like, imagine now when I'm talking to my agent and I'm like, you know what, you have access to my calendar. Can you find me, meetings or meetups like this where I can go and meet with, like have actual conversation with fellow founders, like immigrant founders, as I mentioned. So now when my agent's like, you know what, you should go to, I see this time is open on your calendar. You should go to this meetup in SF. And I saw who's coming or who has signed up for. And out of this five, founders are, by the way, in the similar ecosystem you have been. And they are also immigrant founders. And you guys have a lot of commonality. Would you like me to make an introduction? Like, yeah, perfect. Send them a note. And the next thing, my agent makes an introduction to their agent and like, hey, Akanksha, would love to meet, yada, yada, yada. Are you available? And then they're like, perfect, I'll be there. Look for me, or let's meet up at like, 5:30 or something like that. And then at least when I'm going, it's still intentful. I'm still maximizing my time out there. In meeting people organically and with less pressure and no pressure, but it's still, I know what I'm gonna get out of, right? Because I love talking. I mean, I can spend a whole day talking to some of the folks actually, but that also means that half of my day is gone, and I do not know where that went. So this kind of holds me accountable, but at the same time let me enjoy that human aspect of things, of meeting people and interacting them with them in real life. So that's the power again, right? Where when people are not maximizing on like doom scrolling someone's feed and things like that, but at the same time are having much more meaningful one-on-one conversation. By the way, can connect on multiple layers, right? Because our profiles look very static and transactional, right? We kind of immediately judge in terms of like where we have went to school and where we have worked, and we kind of have preconceived notions. But in reality, like to echo your prior point, we all are very unique, right? Even though we might have done something similar, that still doesn't mean that our thought process are something similar or our interests are somewhere similar. And I'm not sure about you, half of the people I meet, I remember them because not because where they went to school or what they have done in the company, but because of their unique story they might have shared. Like, this person speaks four languages, or this person has been to Antarctica. I want to go to Antarctica, right? That's how I relate and remember them, and I want to talk to them more versus what can you do for me kind of thought process.
Yeah, well, you and I met through Zach,
Yeah.
right? So Zach's a friend of mine and a friend of yours, and he knows me pretty well. Apparently, he knows you pretty well, and he knew that we would, if we got together for a conversation, we would have a really interesting conversation, which we are right now.
Exactly. So shout out to Zach. We need more Zachs like that, right? So in our lives. So that's pretty much right. And lucky for us that Zach made that connection. But how many of rest of the folks are not so lucky? Does that mean that they should be missed out on this opportunity to meet someone meaningful in their network and have that, deeper conversation? Perhaps not, right? So let's change that as well, right? Let not good conversations be left to chance as well. So yeah, so hopefully, with that network effect, things can evolve and like, make that happen for us.
I think the future is more in person, more authenticity, more face-to-face interaction with people who are creating the same meaning that you are, just much more meaningful connections in the future. And I think this would also transform events as well. Right now, if you put together an event, like I said, I put together an event last week and I just sort of invited
Hmm.
pretty much everyone, right? But it would be really interesting so I used Eventbrite. It would be really great if Eventbrite really understood me pretty well, and if it understood the event that I've put together and who might like it, it
Yeah.
could have broadened exact audience, and that audience would have an amazing time because they all resonate with each other, and yeah, that would be an amazing event if that tech existed.
Exactly, David. Like to your point, right? If you were looking for like, again, in today's world, we are still like focused on keyword search, right? So if you were doing your search humanly, you would be looking for like, hey, someone has written this on their, profile or somewhere, and I want to target that. Right? That's what happens today. But to your point, if our agents were like equipped with knowing that information on us, even if it's not written on like a profile page, right? And now when you ask about this questions like, hey, whom should I invite for this event? This is for this. Immediately your agent will be like, hey, let me talk to 100 different agents whom I think would be interested. Let me talk to their agents and see if their humans would be interested, and I can pass along this invite to them. Right. So it's almost again like going back to that assistant, that wing person. But I know we speak a lot about like how AI is bridging that gap for us. But one thing which I do see will happen, or at least I envision happening more, is that human only meetings, right? So even if it's virtual, the agents will make that happen to bring us together. But in that meeting, it would be only purely just human conversations, right? No
Mm.
gadgets, no nothing. It would be like, we will call that as old school. Like, hey, let's just keep it natural conversations and see where the conversations go. Because again, like it almost reminds me of don't quote me on the year, but I know of this era where all the big minds, right, all the inventors in United States would have this salon where they would meet every, once a week or once a month to just have conversations. And just through that pure brainstorming, unstructured conversations, more effective ideas would come in terms of like how the society should evolve, how the next theme of education should evolve, etc. So I can clearly see that while ages do the job in bringing us together, but these niche salons will become more and more prominent, where finally when these people are together, the intake of like, the ideas of like how wild it can look like, and how, like I don't know, interesting and intellectual conversations can look like will happen. So I do see that happening very time soon. If that happens, I'll be definitely part of that. Those intellectual salon meetups, if you will. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so it sounds like in future there might be two types of events: AI invited, AI not invited. All the
Exactly.
humans.
Humans only. Because like even right now, like some of the big meetings, you'll see the note takers coming in, but the humans not showing up. And then the moderator of this meeting is like, sorry, I'm kicking off all the, note takers because we want you as a human to be in that meeting, not the note taker. If I'll only let the note taker be in here if the human is present, right? So it's already happening as well in terms of like,
Interesting.
oh, I don't want to have a meeting with all the note takers, but actual humans in the conversation. So yeah, but again, like it's a tool, it's a means, right? So we can still use it to bring us more closer faster and saving us time to actually, bringing us together. But ultimately, it will enable us to be humans about it as well, right? And that's what we do best, is have this discourse kind of dialogue, this conversation, that unstructured discussions, if you will. And sometimes that's where the new ideas kind of evolve from it.
Yeah, I think the more you get the right people together, the more new ideas and innovations will come out of it.
Exactly. Right. And I'm a big fan of that. So while AI can solve a whole lot, I hope this doesn't get solved by AI, and this needs to be, I think, one of the human-led endeavors, if you will.
Definitely. Because this is, after all, a podcast focused sort of on growth, innovation, and AI as well, but mostly on growth through a marketing lens. I want to ask you the implications of this or the benefits of this for marketing, GTM, and sales.
Yeah. So I think I kind of already touched on it. So what I get very excited about is again from marketing and from sales perspective, right? So let's pick marketing first. So I do come from Instagram and I don't have cable TV, and most of the new products I discover is from Instagram, right? And it's because its algorithm is very to the point, right? And if there's some product I don't like, I immediately just tell it that, hey, don't show me, ads for this particular product or this particular genre. So now in the AI side, similar things will happen. That my agent, when I'm ready to be, like I've told Instagram in this case, like show me new products, I don't mind, but it needs to be still relevant to my interest, right? Or in the periphery of that interest. And similar to this, in your agentic life, your agent, you can let them know that, hey, I'm always open to doing new product discoveries, if you will, especially like in like this sector versus that sector. And now your agent is being queried by other marketing agents, and it's like, hey, by the way, I have this great product on this wearable device, would you think David would be interested? And your agent can be that gatekeeper, if you will, in terms of like, yeah, David doesn't mind being exposed to this, and please feel free to reach out to him or showcase this, or here's his marketing email address, right, where you can connect with him, or marketing profile, whatever. So now when you are online or you are ready, your agent's like, hey, by the way, so and so has reached out on your marketing side. They create this and this. Would you be interested in having a conversation? Right. So that's like, I'm not sure if you remember, like during the Cambridge and Analytica became a big deal, right, during the US elections. That's the same time the founder of the company kind of gave this TED talk where he mentioned that the ads which the person sitting next to you will see will be very different than the ads you will see. In fact, everyone in the household will see different ads, right? So again, this contextual showcase of information which you care about will be so much personalized. So similar to that, like, in the marketing world as well, I feel that the personalization will happen to the next level. Similar to sales, right? When you're ready, the intent is there, and when you're ready to actually be sold to that information, that's when, the right connections will happen. Like for instance, when I am looking for a car, my brain automatically just keeps looking at like, oh, this car, that car, oh, SUV, this is this. I might have seen thousands of cars like walking day in, day out, but only when I'm ready to actually buy a new car, all of a sudden I see new cars everywhere. Right? It's just the way our brain becomes this selective optimization, if you will. Right. So similar to that, again, when we are ready for like, to look for a car in the market, right? We might be talking to our agents like, hey, by the way, I'm looking for this car. I haven't done the research, but I'm looking for like a hybrid car that has a huge range and I do a lot of camping. So I need like a big SUV, vehicle, which is high on safety and by the way, high on luxury as well. So now your agent knows that you're in the market to look for new cars and so forth. So now it will make you available to be pitched by prospective car sales guys. Right. So that's how I feel things should change, right? And going back, we don't mind our data being used when it actually serves the purpose for us. So that's the analogy I like to expand upon as well. It's like when we are ready and when things get pitched to us, we don't mind. It just becomes annoying when it happens when we are not ready for it.
One of the most effective tactics in, especially in B2B marketing, is gifting.
Yes.
It's actually proven to have like the highest conversion and ROI out of any activities really. But you mentioned this concept that you have in the Bay Area. I was so amazed by the Bay Area culture when I visited for the first time last month. Curious to learn more about. We'll definitely be coming back and curious to learn more about the culture there. But you mentioned that the Bay Area has this culture of microgifting.
Yeah.
What's microgifting?
So I was exposed to this, the first time I moved to Bay Area, which was back in 2012. And the whole idea of like when you actually meet and you resonate with someone, and then especially when you're thinking about them, right? You often like share these small piece of information which we feel they might be interested in. So like for instance, I met with this fellow professional person in my network, and these were just initial few meetings, and I remembered that her mom was going through some of the breathing problems essentially. And I'm a big proponent of like breathing exercises, especially like, the box breathing and so forth. So I found these, I immediately thought of her and her mom, and I found these, special videos of, yogic breathing exercises, and I forwarded to her. And at the same time, I remembered that there were some, special drops one can have, which helps in breathing. And I kind of forwarded that to her as well. Right. So this information, I mean, I didn't get anything out of it, right? But I remembered that this is one thing that person really cares about. And when I thought of her, I thought of these breathing exercises. So these are like those ideas of micro gifting, if you will, which like shows that you care, but without being very invasive and over presumptuous, right? And when done right, it kind of elevates the relationship to the next level as well. Even though we are in the professional setting, even though we are very much like, meeting more for transactional matter, but now when I thought of her, I showed these small gestures, right? Similarly, I'm in debt with so many, professionals out there in Bay Area who kind of forwarded this article, which I never knew of, right? It opened up the next vista of information for me, or had pointed me to this platform which I never knew of. And now that's the second thing I just bought. So all those things in terms of like, how you can keep people in mind and share something, when again, when done right, it can speak volumes in terms of like honing on that human relationship, if you will, right? Again, that's not something which AI can do. And I feel that makes it much more personal, and valuable. Yeah. And I feel I've seen this more and more in Bay Area. I'm sure it happens everywhere else as well. I hope it happens, like the human culture that we live in. But definitely, I saw that in Bay Area more and more often as well. So, yeah.
And although AI wouldn't be able to do that in terms of replicating the very thoughtful, emotionally intelligent decision,
Mhm.
it could at least it could maybe in the, for example, in the B2B marketing setting, it could maybe help with so with ABM campaigns. Gifting
Mhm.
is a cornerstone of ABM campaigns, and but the gifts are always like kind of generic.
Yeah.
And although if they had an AI agent, although we might not know the personal things about them, at least we know them a little bit better so that we could
Yes.
send them something tailored.
Yes.
And once we do that, then maybe we could meet them in person, get to know them better. And then as a human, now that we sort of understand them with emotional intelligence, then we can make the decisions to gift much more, I guess, personalized, intimate gifts.
Of course, I completely agree with you. It's like also in many of the, like great content creators also have seen where they do these workshops, no strings attached, right? But definitely create something which is like of value to people. Right. And even if they don't come back, it's like this exponential way of like paying forward altogether. Even I think in a lot of great content creators as well on YouTube or on Instagram, they create this wealth of information, right? General mass, right? And of course, they have something as a product which they are selling, and like it's very evident, it's very clear, but it doesn't look like as if that there's something like a hidden hook behind that, right? Or there's a hidden catch behind that as well. So, in fact, you mentioned about the business part as well. I did stumble through one business in taxing, and they were like, you know what, we help all the founders to do this federal tax free of charge. You can see this like the way how we support for state tax, etc., and you can leverage our services, but for federal tax we kind of do this for free, right? And that was amazing, right? Because they didn't push anything of selling something more to me. I felt that what they provided in its whole was so valuable, and once when I am able to afford them, I would come back and actually pay for the whole suite of products, right? Because they made me feel like in the way that they can help me where I am, but not being so pushy as well, that I felt that, oh, that was the hook, right? They used that to get to me, and now non-stop sales calls are happening, right? Because they want to close a deal. So I completely echo with you in terms of like think because they did it so right, they probably will have a trusty like a customer soon. And that's another thing, right? Sometimes when a potential customer is not ready to buy in that moment, But when you actually through this micro gifting and through building that relationship, when the moment is right and when they're ready to purchase, they wouldn't look for any other product. This thing is something which you have already made that connection with, and when you're ready, that's the first thing you just do a beeline to, and then buy and become a customer. So I can see that huge value as well. And to answer your prior question in terms of like how that look like in sales and marketing as well, right? Because this was done by a human within a company, right? But ultimately they associate with the human as well, but they also associate with the company value too. So now if there's like this train of traceability that, David helped me connect. And yes, David today is with company A and tomorrow he's with company B. But I actually resonated so well with David, right? And if company C wants to hire David, David has this traceability of record of like, because this is intangible, right? You can actually, to show that you made that perfect connection, you probably will have them connect with me. And then when I say, yep, David made that sure that, even when he changed companies, I followed him as a customer. But today, unfortunately, there's no, like method of tracing that without talking to the human. But here the agent can actually again come and play such a big role is like having that traceability of David's work. So when company C is seeing David and his body of work, there's this evidence as well that he actually has made such long-term connections with people. So I feel this is where like again there's a bit of blockchain aspect as well for traceability factor. But again, with AI and blockchain, I feel that traceability can have such a next level of meaning because now you can capture those intangible values as well, right? Which, like, again, it holds on to our human essence, but at the same time highlights that aspect as well, that this person created so much of intangible value to the product and to the company and to its customer base.
That's amazing. Kanksha, it's really great to get sort of a more actually realistic and more positive outlook on AI and the way it's transforming society and humanity from someone who's been in tech for a long time and also working in AI right now. Because a lot of what people hear is doom and gloom. So
Yeah.
it's really good for someone who's actually in that space and also someone who really values networking and the human connection and the well-being of the humans. Come and tell us, hey, actually, AI is going to make job hunting a thing of the past where you're just matched up with jobs automatically, fix recruiting, fix networking, and drive more meaningful connections and getting the right people together to create meaning and create new ideas like never before. So, Kansha, we've kind of gone very much over time because this was a very fascinating conversation. Before we wrap it up, I'm actually curious myself, which parts of what we talked about can Neopolis, your company, do right now?
Yeah. So we spoke about the digital twin, right? In terms of like how your agent can actually understand you and open doors for you, be it finding that job, be it connecting you with the right mentor or a hiring manager for that matter, or elevate your brand. All that Neopolis can actually do. In fact, please check us out on neopolis.ai. We do have a private beta that is happening. And if you actually do sign up with the code of David AU, you will be able to get fast track on the private beta right away. So there's a special code through you, David, that we would love to offer to everyone who's listening to us. On the other side as well, especially for my recruiter friends as well as for my hiring managers, the world is not easy as well, right? As I highlighted earlier, every resume is AI optimized and every role is attracting thousands of resumes, which look amazing on paper. So the way we are helping our recruiter friends and hiring managers are that the ability to talk to all of them and do inference-based search and match them based upon that detailed soft skills as well or soft preferences as well. Everyone can match on hard skills, no doubt about that, but there's this nuanced aspects, builder mindset. How do you find them when it's not written on a resume, right? So we definitely help them to actually meet with these people faster in a fraction of minutes. So please check us out on that as well. We would love to support you. And as I mentioned earlier, every recommendation we have 100% recommendation.
It's amazing. That's mind
Would love.
blowing.
That's knock on the word I'm super proud of, actually. We have several unsolicited feedback as well on social media. So definitely take pride in that as well. So please look out for us in that factor and would love to help you out in this as well. But yeah, and if there's anything else, right, that you feel that Neopolis can do or you have more questions, you know where to find me. So happy to support in that factor as well.
And well, we explored like several use cases of what this type of a platform can do. But I like that in the promo code David AU, is that a lowercase?
Yes, it's all
Okay.
lowercase. Yeah.
Well, I like that you put something in there that kind of makes me unique and that kind of makes me smile as well. AU, Australia, because I love Australia.
Finally.
Lived there for 5 years. Whenever I hear Australia or I see AU, it just makes me happy.
There you go. That was another factor which I remembered from our prior conversation, actually, David. So I'm glad you picked up on that.
That's amazing. I'll put that code in the description as well as the link.
Perfect.
But Akanksha, you're solving a big problem right now that's emerged over the past couple of years, ironically with the technology AI that caused it, but it's amazing that you're solving it. And I think you're working on something very big that's going to really help society at a societal level with job hunting, networking. So it's really nice to hear these positive things that are being worked on with AI. That's really going to benefit people
Thank you.
tremendously. So thanks for coming on, Akanksha. And yeah, I'll share the code and the link. And I actually look forward to get testing out the private beta myself.
Thank you. And
But
David, I just want to thank you as well for creating such a safe space for the conversations to happen. I loved the dialogue we had. I can definitely see that visionary aspect of yours, actually. And to be honest, I completely resonate with it. So thank you so much for creating this space for this, amazing dialogue altogether as well.
it was a pleasure to have you on, Akanksha. And yeah, it would be great to have you back in a year or a couple of years to see how things have changed and how Neopolis has changed and how you and your team have changed things. So thanks again. It was my pleasure, Akanksha. And until next time,
Thank you. Appreciate it. See ya. Bye.
take care.